Thanks, Henry.
Still ahead, a beauty queen gets busted.
Yeah, why one Miss USA contestant won't be making it to the competition.
And coming up next, the only child of former singing duo Sonny and Cher, Chaz joins us live.
And from
I are just in mid-conversation here. Let me read you from Chaz Bono's book, the very back of the book. For better or worse, since my television debut at the age of 2, I've always been and will always be thought of as Sonny and Cher's adorable daughter, Chastity. For better or for worse, my parents' decision to put me on their television show has shaped the course of my entire life. But even I can't believe that the cherubic little girl from the television screen would grow up to be a middle-aged man. And that's the back cover of the book you're looking at now. It is called Transition, the story of how I became a man. Chaz, nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
And I've seen other interviews that you've done, and you've been very candid on television and in the book. And I don't want to misquote you, but something to the effect of, you felt that your initial gender, like a cleft palate or something, was...
Yeah, I felt that. I mean, I look at being transgender or gender dysphoria as just some kind of condition that I was born with. And, you know, as far back as I have memory, I felt like a boy. And I struggled, you know, and kind of muddled through my whole life trying to figure this out, thinking for a long time that I was gay and, you know, mixing those two things up. And then finally, in my early 30s, I started to put it all together, and here we are.
One thing you make reference to is your father, who always seemed, I think it's the right word, to be a very cool guy.
Yes.
When your parents split up and you spent time at his house, he gave you the nickname of a boy, and you kind of played as a boy. Yeah,
definitely. Well, he was very comfortable with me, the way that, you know, just the way that I am, and never tried to change me in any way. And so we, you know, we got along great. I mean, and I think it was probably easy for him. He was a single dad. Here I am. I was into the same things he was into. I totally, you know, worshipped him and looked up to him. And so we had a very, you know, male pal kind of relationship.
Your mother gave a soundbite to Oprah, and I tell you what, as a parent, this struck me, and it's reverberated with a lot of people. She made reference to a final phone message that you left her as Chastity.
Yeah, she, you know, I think what it was my outgoing message on my phone. I hadn't changed it since my voice started to deepen. And so she called and heard that and realized, you know, that was my own voice. And it really struck her, and I think it brought the issue home for her in a really real way. And so it, for her, was kind of the beginning of her process, and there was some grieving in that process and in her journey. All right,
in her process, saying goodbye to her daughter, who's now her son.
Yep.
What about you? Was there a saying goodbye to this female self? Or?
No, not at all. I couldn't. I mean, you know, by the time I finally got over all of my issues and fears and everything in order to start this transition, I was really ready. And no, there wasn't. For everybody around me, or, you know, the people really close to me, my girlfriend, my mom, there was that, you know, and everybody around me had to kind of get used to me like this. And for me, no, the only thing that is, you know, that I had to do emotionally was get used to having this kind of range of emotions that I never had before. And that is definitely an adjustment period, and still, you know, I'm still kind of adjusting. I didn't get to go through all of this at, you know, 13, 14, and really grow up getting used to the feeling of testosterone in my system. So I'm having to kind of do it now.
I'm sure you can appreciate, and I'm sure I'm not the first person who said this. Some people are watching this, and they're going, this is so weird.
Yes. Well, that's why I wrote the book and did the movie, was to really try to help break this issue down for people, because I think it is one of the things that people really don't understand. So few of us have this issue. So few people have a situation where their gender identity and their physical sex don't match up. And so that was really one of the messages that I wanted to get out there, was just really breaking this down for people so they could understand it in a way where it didn't, you know, freak them out or scare them.
And do you think, I think some people would say, hey, it's 2011 and there are technologies and medical treatments now that exist that probably weren't available 10, 20, 30 years ago. So people in the same boat a long time ago didn't have the option. And is it the blessing or the burden to have the option now?
Well, it's definitely a blessing to have the option. And I mean, you know, people have been doing transitioning now for quite some time. I think the big difference is that it's starting to become a little bit more socially acceptable. And for, you know, for myself and a lot of the people that I've talked to, and I still get like a ton of, you know, emails and Facebook stuff and everything. It's that fear of losing everything and losing everyone from their lives that stops people. It's so little to do about technology.
We're going to take a look at this documentary. It's called Transition, so too the name of the book. It's aired on OWN. It's going to re-air. Take a look.
I'm doing this not because I want to see myself on film. It's because I want to try to help people. You know, I want to try to put a face on an issue that people don't understand. And that's why I did this publicly.
There's public, private, and there's just public. And I guess Dove feels like that's the way to go.
And I'm going to...
Let me correct you real quick, though,
sure.
because the doc is called Becoming Chaz.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All right, so in Becoming Chaz, and just looking at Cher there...
Right.
It seemed to me, I mean, I guess it can't be done privately.
It can't be done. You know, in my opinion, it couldn't be done privately. We had a little bit of a difference of opinion, as you can kind of see there. I think that, you know, I don't think my mom realized how far we've come and that the media would be able to cover this in a respectful, you know, fair way. And so I think she was afraid that if I really went out there, I was going to get hurt. But to me, you know, I had to do this. If I didn't do this, other people would be telling my story instead of me, and they wouldn't get it right. And by doing this, I have an opportunity to educate and help people in the process.
I think you articulated very well, and I tell you what, on a few programs, I've seen Jenny, your girlfriend,
right,
who's terrific, and you're lucky to have her.
Thank you.
And you talked about that the two of you were engaged.
Right.
So, having worked with GLAAD, having been an advocate of gay marriage and all these other things,
right,
now, I guess, you can get married in a more traditional way.
Yeah, no, that's what we were talking about before. I mean, we will get married, but we do, there is part of us that feels really strange about it because our friends, you know, can't get married. And we have been such huge supporters of marriage equality. So it's kind of strange.
So you're going to walk down the aisle anytime soon?
Well, like not next week or anything, but, you know, probably within the next year or so.
Your opportunity to meet Chaz Bono will be signing copies of the book, Transition. He'll do it Wednesday at 7 p.m. at the Renberg Theater with Book Soup in West Hollywood. Also at Barnes & Noble at the Grove on Monday, May the 23rd. And do you have a particular website, or is there a way that...
I do, yes. ChazBono.net.
ChazBono.net. There you go. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks for coming in. Mr. Krisky across the way with our weather. There we go.